The football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that I believe I could have run behind you. Martin, I can remember when we came to center, and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I ran that coach didn't take biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, guys, y'all got it.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be viewed on Facebook at Martin Houston Live and Tide 109 on Facebook, Martin Houston Live on YouTube, and at Martin Houston 5 on Twitter. Simulcasting this morning, getting things going on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 109. This is the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team. Want to invite you to get in on the conversation this morning at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Once again, the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. Alabama One is the one source for all your financial needs. Alabama One together. Go check us out at alabama1.org. And hey, as we do every day, reminding you that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. We got a great show lined up for you. Of course, we're going to have a lot of NFL draft talk, and I'm probably going to sit back and listen to Joe and Xavier talk more about this NFL draft than I do. I have my opinions on it, but I think they probably know it a little better than I do. So I'm going to lean on their expertise. We'll also have some recruiting coming up in the third quarter, kicking off the second half with Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. We'll catch up with him there. And, of course, I do know that Alabama is on the verge of more record-setting opportunities, I guess you would say, in terms of the NFL draft. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing good. How are you?
Good. Good morning, Joe and crew in the studio.
Morning, Martin. How you doing? How you guys doing?
Doing well. I'm gonna hit a couple of miscellaneous things, Joe, but before I forget, and we need to make sure we remind people a couple times to stay tuned all day for us forecasters and prognosticators and all of that from 6 till 6. But there's going to be a crew that's going to be on tonight that's going to be actually covering the draft live right here on Tide 109. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening with that tonight. Are you there, Joe?
Oh yeah, we're gonna be having a live draft show pretty much at 6 o'clock. So the NFL draft starts at 7.
Yep.
We're gonna have a lot of people. Myself, Jake Harrison, host of Off the Edge, is pretty much gonna be the main host, and I'm just gonna be supporting him. Mason will be in on it. Mason Woods produces the show Monday and Tuesday. We're gonna be, if you get tired of the ESPN commentators, we'll be with you all the way until they close out pick number 32 tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I tell them just do the Eli Gold version. Watch it on TV and watch the players walk up and listen to the commentators on Tide 109, like you watch your football game sometimes when you get tired of the talking heads on ESPN with their slant, sometimes bias slant. And of course, there's going to be bias on this one too, but hey, we'll be fair. And hey, are the phone lines going to be open? Are they going to have the opportunity to call in, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to jump in and react to the draft, we'll be wide open to take your phone calls.
Well, that'll be a lot of fun, and that kicks off right after Ron Fowler goes off there at 6:00 tonight through the entirety of the draft. So it'll be a lot of fun coverage there. A couple quick stories from the happening around the sporting world. You can find some of these stories or most of these stories at tide109.com. A few guys are going to be part of a camp. That's a new advantage, I think, a cool advantage of the Alabama, the NIL deal, and that is that the players can host and be a part of camps and actually work those. So there's a camp coming up. If you're out there listening and you want to get your little ones or your young ones involved with the camp here locally in Tuscaloosa, the Nike Skills Football Camp, June 13th through the 15th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Co-ed ages 8 to 18. They'll be grouped together in terms of their ability and age, and they'll have a chance to hang out with a few Alabama football players and the likes of Will Anderson, Jalen Moody, Cameron Latou, and Emil Ikior. So that'll be a lot of fun for the kids getting to meet some of their current superstars and heroes, etc. So go check that out. Also, what you guys' thoughts on Birmingham? Of course, going to be part of March Madness. Xavier and Joe. Let me ask you guys: if Alabama's in, do you want them to be a part of the Birmingham tour, or would you rather they be playing somewhere else?
As a fan, I'd love for them to be in Birmingham, to be able to have that home court advantage even in the tournament. But maybe sometimes it's best to play away from home as well.
What are your thoughts, Joe?
I'm really excited about the NCAA tournament. I'd love to get placed right there in Birmingham. You have to have a high seed to get that favorable placement. So if we're in Birmingham, we're probably going to be a top 3 or 4 seed.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. The good news is, if, like you say, Joe, if we're going to get that close to our home arena and our home court advantage, I should say, we're going to. That means we've had a really good year, and that's what we're hoping. It's interesting, guys. I heard some guys talking yesterday, man, and they were talking about. I think some poll came out and had Alabama like 19 to 20 or somewhere in that range. And a diehard Bama fan said, "Man, they'd be lucky to be 219." And I looked at them and I said, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Man, this upcoming team will be lucky with all the players they lost." And I thought, they have no idea who. I mean, I mean, at that point, we were talking about this, and this is where we'll shift over, guys, to the NFL draft. Be careful who you listen to, and what's the motive behind what's being said. Because sometimes talking heads have their own motives to and sometimes they say some outlandish stuff and do some outlandish stuff just to get us to click and read, right? And try to figure out if there's any legitimacy to it. And this is a question I have for you guys. Is the Cam Robinson inking a deal? Um, uh, is Cam Robinson's improvement in deal and all of that, has that allowed the Jaguars to move on um, from Evan Neal, and where do you think they go with the first overall pick?
I'll tell you this: I'm happy for Cam Robinson and everything, but you also know what he is at this point of his career. I don't think he's been a Pro Bowler. I don't think he's been an All Pro. So he's a very good and a very serviceable starter. But if you have the opportunity to go get a guy like an Evan Neal, who people feel like is one of the safest picks in this draft that can be a Pro Bowler, be an All-Pro, whether that be at tackle or guard. I don't think you can pass up on that. And even if it's not Evan Neal, you drafted Trevor Lawrence to be the face of your franchise. You should look at a guy like Ike Enukwa from North Carolina State or something like that. That's where I think they should go with the draft.
Yeah, I think the Jags are pretty much set on Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker. I think they had one of the worst pass rushes in the league last year, despite having Josh Allen, great defensive end. So I think they moved on from Evan Neal especially after signing Cam Robinson to that big extension yesterday. And I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see Aiden Hutchinson tonight. I think the Jaguars are going to play it safe and take Aiden Hutchinson.
And you think Aiden Hutchinson is a safe pick?
He's got a safe floor. I don't really think he has a too high of a ceiling. So yeah. I mean, I think he's pro ready, but I don't think he's going to be an all world player. Now that's the problem with this draft, Martin, is that you're really not getting a whole lot of value until you get into the 15s or so, into pick 12 or so, because of the lack of quarterbacks. And really the lack of pass rushers, there's not as much value at the very top of the draft.
And with that said, Joe, that's what I shouldn't say it surprised me, because they could be working on something right now. I think Aiden Hutchinson is a really, really good college football player. I think he was overhyped. Never should have been in New York in front of Will Anderson. The guy, when you saw him in the playoffs, he was a non-factor. And I just think he's overhyped. Not that he's not going to be an NFL pro player, but I'd be hard searched to find any draft in a long time that he would be the first pick overall in any prior draft leading up to this one for quite a while. And so, do you think it's likely that the Jaguars actually potentially trade out of that pick?
I don't see them trading out of it. I think, and I don't really know if anybody's interested in giving up what you need to obtain the number one overall pick in this year's draft, because, as Joe said, it's not very top heavy in the positions that we tend to see go, and because of all the talks of a Trayvon Walker, of a Aiden Hutchinson, of a Kayvon Thibodeau, the tackle position, which is a little bit front loaded, or the corner position that is front loaded, you know you can sit down and wait, because there's going to be teams reaching for a quarterback. There's going to be teams reaching for edge rushers, and you can sit and go, hey, I can get an Evan Neal at 5. I can get a Sauce Gardner at 8. I can get a Derek Stingley at 12.
Go ahead, Joe. I didn't let you respond. I asked you a question. Didn't let you respond.
No, I think Xavier nailed it. I think that the Jaguars, if they could trade back, absolutely would. But I don't think anybody's going to pay the price to get up to number one, just like Xavier said. So I think they're kind of stuck there.
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma. You're like, man, there's really not a lot of great value, but there's also not a lot of great depth. So if there's a guy that you feel like there's really one or two guys at that position, you might give up something that the other team wants, or something. Not I don't think anybody's giving up any future picks in the first or second round, but you might give up some third or fourth, because you just want to get in front of, not necessarily you want to be number one, Joe. You just don't want to be number 4, because 2 and 3 may want your guy. So that would be the only thing I see as well, kind of piggybacking off of what you guys are saying, that would make someone move is not that there's value, but really the other side, because there's a lack of number of players. Somebody might have to make a move to try to keep the guy in front of them from getting it. But it's interesting to me with you have a number one quarterback and you have a guy like an Evan Neal and a couple other top offensive linemen, and you may go with a defensive player. And I'm telling you, when you're bad, you better get that offense ready in the NFL to protect your quarterback and if you're going to build around becoming a champion. But hey, maybe they feel like they can get improve their offensive line with another guy. I do want to ask you guys about a couple specifics of the Alabama team, and is the Hutchinson or Quay Walker or one of those guys going to be the number one guy? And let's dispel before we go to break. Xavier shared before we came on air. Evan Neal missed one game in his college career, and it was because of COVID, not injury. And now he's a notable injury. That is all hype from someone else trying to get Evan Neal to fall in the draft. Will it help them and hurt him? We'll talk about that on the other side, right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet. No active wrecks as we start our Thursday morning. If you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, just give me a call. 205-886-8886. Nobody does it like Townsend Nissan. They're fair, fast, with a fun family environment. You can save thousands. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Some might call it a party, but we call it a planting, as it benefits our future. Child Abuse Prevention Services will host this 3rd annual Blue Ribbon Gala at the 9 Washington Cultural Arts Center on Friday, April 29th from 6 to 9 p.m. with entertainment from the Joas Band and Misha Lanier as the keynote speaker. This semi-formal blue affair is sure to be anything but blue. To join Lanier Automotive, CMB Holdings Group LLC, Crawford Insurance, Allstate Michelle Coley Agency, and Town Square Media as sponsors, contact CAP's board president Terry Banks at 205-310-3255.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code GREAT for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code GREAT. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code GREAT for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code GREAT for a $5 bonus.
It begins before we're even born. It's with us until the day we take our last breath. It's the beat that keeps us alive. So when it comes to the matters of the heart, it's best to leave it to those who know how to keep it going. For over 40 years, Cardiology Consultants has provided West Alabama with the highest quality, state-of-the-art cardiovascular services. Doctors William Hill, Jeffrey Anderson, Ann Lewis, Amit Shah, Edward Caraway, Brad Proctor, Vishal Daya, and Petra Lynch, all board certified. 205-752-0694. Visit the website mycvmd.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another beautiful day today with a good supply of sunshine. Tuscaloosa's high 81. Tonight, mostly fair with the low at 60. Tomorrow and Saturday, partially sunny both days. The chance of a few isolated showers. Highs between 81 and 84. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 47 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904. Tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
right now.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Go to alabama1.org and click on the banners for the promotion to win that big green egg, 1.99 potential interest rates, as low as 1.99 for commercial and ag equipment and those recreational toys, including boats, motorcycles, RVs, ATVs, golf carts, and more. And all you have to do is click and apply or drop by one of our branch locations. Hey, the Alabama One hotline is open for business, so give us a call, 205-342-9904. All right, guys. The Evan Neal thing still is interesting to me. I think you could potentially see the first three picks of this draft be interestingly a bust. And not a bust in the sense that they don't play, but I guess Xavier, you brought it up yesterday. You look at it, Trayvon Walker has all the measurables, in great measurables. But how do you look at his film and then look at a guy like Evan Neal? And most of the time, guys, when something like this happens, when a team goes for someone like a Trayvon Walker or a Hutchinson, Aiden Hutchinson, is more, oh man, that need is so glaring. And I know the Jacksonville need at, Joe, you point out pass rusher is obvious, but good gracious, Evan Neal has all the measurables and all the film. I'm still shocked. I don't know, but that I don't know. Maybe that's why those teams are the ones that are always picking at the top of the draft. Let's talk some specifics about the Alabama football team and potential for tomorrow. Christopher Allen, Jalen Armour Davis, Slade Bolden, Christian Harris, Josh Jacobs, Fadarian Mathis, John Mechie, Evan Neal, LeBron Ray, Brian Robinson, Jameson Williams. All of those guys looking to be taken in the draft, of course. But the biggest record right now that Alabama is on the verge of tying, and barring some absolute collapse, Alabama, of course, will have the 14th year in a row, guys, that they have had a first rounder. And of course, anybody doubt if they get this year, they break the record next year. But just how impressive is it that year after year you've been cranking out this talent, but yet you're still improving? I mean, did this once again put another nail in the coffin of Nick Saban being the GOAT of college football?
I mean, it's insane to look at the run, especially for someone like me of my age. But when I got into Alabama football, you're talking about 2001, and that was the year after Sean Alexander and Chris Samuels both went in the first round in 2000. And I didn't see, as far as my memory, the first time I remember watching a guy go in the first round from Alabama was Andre Smith in 2009. And he's the guy that started this streak. And here we are 14 years later, and there's been multiple guys every year since then.
When you look at here's another number. See what you guys think about this, and see if Alabama breaks the record. There's six. There's been one time where a 3-year window there was 6 wide receivers taken in the NFL draft over a 3-year period. Alabama's on the verge of being able to break that record this year. And y'all know who holds the key? Slade Bolden. Does Slade Bolden help Alabama break yet another record. And I know that does Slade Bolden get into the NFL draft in one of those late rounds, or is he going to be going as a free agent?
I really like Slade's chances just because he's a special teams guy. He can play in the slot. And when you're looking at those late round picks, you're looking for guys that can bring value to your football team in a multiple ways, even though they might not be a day one starter most likely. So I think you can see Slade get into that 6th, 7th round area for sure.
Joe?
Yeah, I think Xavier just hit it. His special teams value. I saw somebody yesterday compare him to Matthew Slater, the special teams ace on the Patriots, and Matthew Slater's getting a little long in the tooth. Maybe he's going to be the perfect replacement.
That is, and that's the guy who made a career who I think he, if I'm not mistaken, in his dad, Slater, the big tackle that played for Jackie Slater played for 20 years with I think it was the Rams. But and he doesn't do anything other than special teams. So
but he's a multiple Super Bowl winning champion and Pro Bowl.
Yeah, and and he nobody does it better. I mean, hey, sometimes it's about finding a niche. It's not about being the best at everything. It's about being the best at what you do, and he does that. So that'd be interesting to see. Another question: will an Alabama record be broken? Asking it from another angle, Alabama has had the most players drafted in a single draft in I think it may be the first 3 rounds. But Alabama has 8 guys taken in the first couple of rounds in a single draft. Does Georgia beat that this year?
They definitely have a shot at it. Georgia was very deep this year, and I could definitely see it going down. It'll be close, most likely. You have Walker. You have both Walkers, Trayvon and Quay. You have N'Kobe Dean. You have Devontae Wyatt, and you have Big Jordan Davis. It really depends, probably, on where their 2 running backs go for them to get a real shot at it, though.
Yeah, and Joe, you have anything? I was about to make a joke, but go ahead.
I'm with Xavier. I think it'll be close, but just for the sake of argument, I'm going to take the under. I'll say they don't.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing. Hey, listen, if Stetson Bennett had left, it'd have been a lot. No, I'm just kidding. Alabama has had 8 defensive players taken in one draft, the entirety of the draft. Does Georgia get to that 9 this year?
Oh man,
They
have 9
yeah,
guys?
yeah, yeah. They said they have a potential of breaking that record. So, yeah, that's just think about that for a second. In Alabama had 8 defensive players in one draft. It'd be interesting to see if Georgia can get it for the entirety of the draft. But that's 2 records that Alabama's trying to hold on to. And I don't have these guys' names. I read the story a couple days ago. There's actually 7 players from Mobile high schools that are eligible for, and it's 5 are like locks, they say pretty much, but potentially 7 former Mobile high school players um, projected to go in the NFL draft. So for a city the size of Mobile, that's pretty impressive for a small. I was just looking at some funny stats or amazing stats, but none more amazing than Nick Saban and the count that he will have in first rounders and second rounders. It's probably potentially expanding. I think he's 19 more going into this draft. He has 19 more first rounders than anyone in the period he's been at Alabama since his first rounder went in, and he has 26 more first and second rounders than anyone. Does that gap increase or decrease after today's draft?
It'll decrease a little bit just because Georgia has enough guys that'll go in the first 2 rounds.
Ohio State is the only one close. Ohio State is the only team that can make that gap closer. Ohio State is the one that's 19 behind. No one else is even close. And Ohio State is the one that's 26 behind. And Ohio State supposedly has 3 number 1 wide receivers. 2 coming out. 2 coming out.
2 this year.
Yeah.
No, it'll probably stay around the same. As far as first rounders, I don't really know who their second round guys would potentially be this year. But you have Mechie, who with his recovery going as well, who will probably sneak in towards the end of the second round, and I think Christian Harris will be a second round pick as well.
Yeah. All right. We'll get to Hank on the other side, and then we'll get closing thoughts on the draft and let you guys tell me where you think the Alabama players are going to end up after the first couple of guys. What's going to be the order for the Alabama guys coming off the board? And hey, listen, if you missed this conversation, or if you want to make sure you stay in touch with the Alabama guys and what's happening in the first round and beyond, make sure you stay tuned to Tide 109, especially tonight at 6 p.m. following the game with Ron Fowler, as Jacob Harrison and crew will be highlighting the NFL draft live, and you can interact on what's the Alabama One hotline during my show, but the 205-342-9904 number will be live and open for business starting at 6 p.m. to talk about the NFL draft. Coming back on the other side, we'll catch up with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Tarleton Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, still looking pretty good on the roadways. We do see steady traffic on 2059 out toward Mercedes and also on 82 coming in for Pickens County. If you see other conditions, give me a call. Nobody does it like Townsend Nissan. They're fair, fast, with a fun family environment. You can save thousands. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama One, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
COVID-19 has disrupted our lives, but it won't have the last word. We will. Across Alabama, thousands are getting vaccinated to protect themselves and others. Find out where you can get the COVID vaccine today at alabamaunites.com. Please get vaccinated. If you have symptoms, also get tested for COVID-19. Alabama Unites Against COVID. Sponsored by the ADPH, the ABA, and this station.
Spring is here, which means it's time to take advantage of the Home Depot low price guarantee. We're offering the best brands at the best prices so you can take on as much as you want. Add the thrill of a great deal to the satisfaction of getting your projects done. And if you find a lower price from one of our competitors, we'll match it. Because when we say nobody beats our prices, we mean it. It feels like spring savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with deals like our Silver Unlimited plan for just $45 a month and no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for $249, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. This is the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports, your show, your team. And we have X's and O's, Xavier Houston, of course, sitting in with us today. And joining us now on the Alabama One hotline is Hank South, recruiting guru, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting, at Hank South 247, best follow in recruiting. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mark. I'm good. How are y'all?
Doing well, doing well. I guess I'll start off with you. Kind of, of course, we had Louisville wide receiver Harold come in to the fold at Alabama via the portal. We expected that, and I guess now you guys, I'm not sure how y'all handle following recruiting now or not. Do y'all have to have a person that handles the portal, and you guys focus on high school, or has your job just kind of doubled, Hank?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just doubled. Obviously the portal's not as well. I say that, but it's not as large as covering high school prospects because there are plenty of those. But it's kind of just melded into one, and I think that's just how it's going to be going forward until unless we see some sort of rule changing or that one-time transfer rule or something changing in the future, or transfer portal windows or things like that kind of regulate it a little bit more. I think it's just going to kind of be even more of a year-round thing that we cover with the whole recruiting side of things.
Well, with that said, is there any activity or player you see or hearing potentially going into the portal that's on that Nick Saban radar? I know that he said that they probably take a couple more players. Harold has come into the fold, and rumors of a tight end potential. Have you heard anything in terms of that?
So I was told that Bama wasn't done after Tyler Harrell, so to expect them to at least continue looking in the portal. Maybe not done looking. I'm not totally sure about adding. Obviously has to be the right player, the right fit. They're not just going to take somebody. But somebody close to the situation told me, tight end was a spot to watch. I don't have names. I've told there's a few tight ends on the radar. Obviously, we're in this window of time right before May 1st where, if you're going to transfer and play next year, you have to announce your intentions to transfer by May 1st. So, I think the portal will be pretty active up until, Saturday? Or when's May 1st? Sometime this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see kids either hop in the portal or, more kids announce their intentions to transfer and things like that. So I think Bama's looking for a tight end, from what I'm hearing. We don't have names yet. There's been all that buzz on Twitter about Dalton Kincaid, the Utah tight end. That's not even in the portal. jumping in the portal and coming to Bama. I don't think that's going to happen. He even tweeted last night that he was staying at Utah.
Hey, now Saban was staying at Miami. That may be a good thing for us. He's just trying to keep it. Hey, if he goes in the portal, if his name hits the portal, do they have to do it by? Is it Saturday night at 11:59, or is it at the end of Sunday? I'm not sure. Like May 1st is a deadline, but is it like the end of May 1st or the beginning of May 1st? Do you know that?
I think it. Oh shoot, I don't.
I just realized that like yeah, like in the insurance business, if we tell you your policy expires May 1st, that means that it really expired 11:59 of the 30th of April. So I just thought about that. I don't know which way they follow that. We'll figure that out. But hey, let me get you to Pat for a question, and then X has a question for you as well, Hank. Pat, you're in with Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir? Pat, you still there? Hello?
Did I lose him?
Huh?
Looks like we lost Pat. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Pat.
well, Pat is down, disconnected. He just got left Joe in the portal. No, I'm just kidding. X, I'll toss it to you, sir.
All right, how you doing this morning, Nate?
Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I got two questions for you. One is, so we now know that Christian Vizina, the quarterback out of Briarwood, has committed to Clemson. You still have Arch and Eli Holston out here weighing their options. Who's the option if Arch takes too long and Eli commits back to Texas A&M and then Arch picks somewhere else? Who would be that next option for the quarterback in this 2023 class?
That's a good question. I don't think there's been a fallback yet. I think those two guys are still kind of, the top two targets and two Bama ones. I think if there was one quarterback you could look at is Dylan Lonergan out of Georgia. He's a four-star Penn State legacy. And he's been on Bama's radar for a while. He threw for the staff last summer, got an offer. He was back on campus at the beginning of this month. Has still expressed a lot of interest in Bama and vice versa. He put out a top 5 recently. Bama was in it. I think South Carolina has a little bit of the buzz right now for him, but if Bama puts that push in for him, they could really be in play for him. But again, I don't think it. In my opinion, I don't think it's going to get past Archer or Eli Holstein. I think one of those guys will end up in the class. My money's on Eli Holstein right now. That would be my pick if I was projecting it today. I think Bama, feels pretty comfortable with that. And I don't think they're gonna, I think, they're not gonna rush either of those guys into making a decision. I think they're gonna let them take their time. Arch has kind of said, or people around Arch doesn't really talk about recruiting, but people around him have said, he could take it, late into the process before making a decision. I don't think he has. He's gonna lose a spot from these schools recruiting him. So those two are sort of ones to watch.
Okay. And then you have 4-star Wilkin Formby from Northridge High School. How important is it for Alabama not to let someone of his potential and talent level not leave the city? Or does he end up somewhere like an Ole Miss, which I've heard has been pushing heavy for him?
Yeah, I think he was on campus last week at Ole Miss for an official visit. But no, of course you want to keep your in-state kids home, and almost more importantly than that, keep your in-city or home city kids home. Obviously they always say in-state recruiting is the lifeblood of your program, and in a year you want to really hit on offensive linemen. He's a guy that you want to add to the class. So I think in the end, I think he's really just enjoying the process. I think in the end, Bama's the team to beat for him. I think he wants to take his official visits. He wants to enjoy the recruiting process, which is perfectly fine. But I think at the end of the day, you look at the visits. He's been to Bama 3 or 4 times this spring already. He has the offer in pocket. He's going to likely take an official visit to Alabama, even though he lives just a few miles from campus. So, I think Bama is in good shape there still.
Speaking with Hank, South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, I've been meaning to ask you and forgot. Um, LT, former number one overall 2023 recruit. It seemed like he kind of settled back in, still in top 10 recruits, even though he reclassified. Um, uh, where does this put this Texas A&M class in terms of like historical uh, significance with him going to A&M?
So with LT, let me pull it up. Texas A&M did sign the best class ever in terms of ranking. It said 332.87, and that beats out Bama's from last year at 327.76. So about 5 points ahead. It's a really, really good class. They signed a lot of really talented defensive players. I'm going to be curious to see how kind of this all unfolds. I think they signed like 6 top 50 defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Something like that. This goes for anybody too. Like, if you sign these kind of classes and these guys don't see the field year one or aren't happy with their playing time, they can just leave immediately.
Yeah.
So, how are they going to manage that? It's going to be all about roster management going forward. You can sign these classes, but, these kids can up and leave immediately if they want to. So, we'll see how all these guys get to the rotation, how things unfold, how next season goes. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting to see. And like you said, that's a pretty impressive class. I think Jimbo Fisher, despite having guarantees, I think his seat's starting to warm up out at A&M, and which puts even more pressure on him to do something with this class. Hank, when it comes to what happens in terms of the recruiting, not the recruiting, the rankings of 5 stars, forecasting forward, as we look at this NFL draft, there's a lot of people saying this draft isn't of much value. Do you guys go back on a 3, 4, 5 year window and look at guys who are in this draft that were former 5 stars, which projects, 2 NFL first rounders, and see how many of your guys are even being right now talked about as first rounders this year?
Yeah, I know our rankings team certainly does that. They like to obviously grade. That's kind of the ultimate grading tool as to how the class went, how the rankings went.
Right.
I think the 2019 class was probably not a great year overall for the rankings here. I know, I say that, and then, potentially, we'll see Trayvon Walker potentially be the number 1 pick, and 24/7 Sports had him as a 5-star. I think Kyle Hamilton, the same thing, the safety from Notre Dame. So there's still hits, and obviously, Evan Neal was a guy everyone was high on with the 5-star grade. So
and what
those look good, but overall, I think the 2019 class left a little to be desired in terms of translating to the draft thus far, at least. So they're certainly looking at that.
Yeah, I always thought that's what I used to say, that back 100 years when the earth was cooling and recruiting was happening. I used to always say, hey, when one of these guys going to go back and publish that follow-up magazine that trails, 4 years behind the recruiting class. But the other question I have for you, Alabama basketball. Hosted, I think played host to an Oregon State transfer on Tuesday. Of course, Quinley coming back. So, what are you hearing in terms of basketball, Hank, and whether Alabama's gonna be getting anyone else out of the portal with Quinley's return?
Yeah, so Bama basketball still has 2 spots left, with Quinley announcing his intention to come back. We saw Jared Lucas, like you said, the Oregon State transfer, on a visit this week. It began on Tuesday, so still trying to get word back on how that went, where things stand with him. Another guard they're going after, shooting guard. He started every game at Oregon State of his career, helped them on their Elite Eight run last year, and is a really good shooter. So certainly you can see why Bama has interest in him there. So he's a name to watch. Then another guy that's interesting that we're keeping an eye on is Emmanuel Acott. He's a former five-star forward. He went to Arizona originally, then transferred to Boise State, and now he's in the portal again. And he's also in the NBA draft. So we'll see. He's retaining his eligibility while also being in the draft. So we're seeing a handful of guys do that, which is they can do. So he's another one to watch. But yeah, I think those that's kind of the who Bama's looking at right now. Kind of a big and a wing guy that they're looking to add to this class to go along with the high school prospects they've signed, the JUCO prospect, and then Mark Steers obviously out of the portal as well.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of like we were talking about, even though they're not considered, I don't think they're weighed with the class. Nate Oates gets one or two of those guys you just mentioned, and the addition to the roster has to be one of the best years of anyone in terms of the talent they add to the existing roster. So we'll follow that.
You'd have with Quinterly coming back, and then obviously Amari Burnett coming off injury, and the two signees, you'd have 4 McDonald's All-Americans on one team, which is pretty wild.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's a pretty big deal, especially for Crimson Tide basketball. Hank, tell them what you got coming up and whether you guys are going to have any special coverage or anything post draft or going on with what you have.
Yeah, obviously NFL Draft Day. Charlie Potter and our team will have you covered on all of that throughout the day and the weekend. It's actually on our network. It's free VIP day, so everything's unlocked behind a paywall, so you can go read any articles, see if you like it, and then hopefully stick around. And then still covering recruiting every day. We'll see about the transfer portal and plenty going on. BamaOnline.com.
You said free VIP day. You can go to where they need to go to check out all of the articles, and they can read behind the wall.
Yeah, just BamaOnline.com, 24/7 sports as a whole. You can go read any VIP article on the network till tonight at midnight.
Oh, that's awesome. Great opportunity there. Thanks, Hank. And we'll be back up with you next week at Hank South 247 Sports. Best follow in recruiting. We'll catch up with you next week, Hank.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, Xavier and Joe, you guys, give me your closing thoughts in terms of the NFL draft. Who's going to be the biggest surprise and where they go in this year's Alabama class?
I will say for the people that just don't like him, I think Slade Bolden that would be the biggest surprise. But no, I think people are going to be surprised to see where Brian Robinson goes. I think he ends up being a late day 2 pick, and gets in a situation that really benefits him to be able to show his talents as a power runner and short yardage early in his career, and turns it into a long career.
All right. Joe, what you got?
Well, I'm going to go Jameson Williams is going to be a top 10 pick tonight. I think he's going to go number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, wow. So I've heard the Atlanta Falcons. I've heard the Dallas Cowboys. And he said, Joe, the Philadelphia Eagles. If they go get him, Jalen Hurts will have every opportunity to be an NFL big timer. So, but that would be a shock. I think Mechie moves up surprisingly, not based on his talent, but based on his talent and the injury. And so I think the 2 wide receivers with the knee injuries, guys, will go higher than we thought they would go after the injuries they suffered and the season ended. A lot of Alabama guys going to get drafted. We'll break them all down next week. Next week on tomorrow's show. So we're looking forward to that. And want to remind you once again, tune in tonight. Stay tuned all day long, and then stay tuned to 6 o'clock with Jacob Harrison and crew as they'll have live coverage of the NFL draft. Thanks, Xavier. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Hank. Thanks all caller, listeners, viewers, and chatters who've been part of the show. For the Martin Houston Show, remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.